Hello YouTube, today's episode we are going to show you how to replace a start capacitor, and we're also going to show you differences between different capacitors. So we'll start with, as always, safety. Ensure your power is off. Ensure that you have a good quality multimeter that is working correctly, especially if they're digital and they are failing, or you have not had them tested recently. It could be lying to you. A tool that lies to you can kill you. So, first and foremost, I've already tested and ensure that we have our power disconnected. So, now we are going to discharge our capacitor. Although most of them will self-discharge very quickly. If it is a bad capacitor, it could still be holding a charge. So you are going to ground every terminal on this capacitor. If not, you grab a hold of one of these suckers and you will probably wake up about 30 seconds later on the ground. That is if you wake up at all. It can stop your heart. So please be careful. Ensure that you have turned off the power and that you have discharged it first and foremost. Now, we're going to remove the capacitor with 5/16 nut runner. Most time you don't have to completely remove the screw. They will slide out of their little sleeve. But next is we have here let me zoom in on it if I can. This one is a 40 microfarads for the hermetic side and 5 microfarads for the condensing fan side. It's what we call a dual capacitor. So now we're going to test it. Now, if you're not sure, very simple. All of them are going to be identical. Common will always have 4 terminals. So if you can't read, like as you can see here, it says hermetic. This side here says fan. But if you can't read that, you can look at how many terminals and know exactly which one's which. So 4 for common, 3 for hermetic, and 1 or 2 for our fan side. So now we've got our multimeter on microfarads, MFD. I'm going to be reading the microfarads. There are other ways to test them, but this is the best way because we are going to be saying, okay, this is a 40 microfarad capacitor. So I'm going to put one terminal on my common side, making sure that we have a good contact. Another one on our hermetic side. So we are reading 35. So this one is about 11% out of factory spec. Clearly written on this thing, it'll say plus or minus 5 or 6%, or whatever. Some will say 5 or 10%. So this one is out of its factory recommended specs. This needs to be replaced. So now, even though we're still going to test our fan side, but when it comes to a dual capacitor, if one side is bad, you still change it. So we are looking at 2.4 for our fan side. So we definitely have a bad capacitor. Even though it looked good, it was the compressor and everything was still starting, this was causing a problem for the compressor. It was causing a problem for the fan. Eventually they were going to burn themselves up because at startup they were using dramatically more electricity to get themselves started. This provides the torque, this provides the energy that is required for the starting. And then once they run, they don't need as much energy, but there's a lot of energy is consumed, and that's what this does. It discharges a lot of energy to get it started, That's why they call them a start capacitor. Now, we had replaced the contactor in an earlier video, and I'll show you what happens because this is weak. We get what we call pitting and burning of our contactor. This is where, because it's pulling more electricity, because this is weak, we get damage to our contactor. Now this is not the worst contactor I've ever seen, but homeowner is very conscientious about making repairs, so we're replacing it. So now we have different capacitors. Boy, they make a big difference. This one is a Mars. Really it's made in China, but they started shipping them to Mexico and put the last final sticker or something on it so that way they could say that it's assembled in Mexico. But don't get me wrong, it's made in China. Chinese. Okay, this will last you about a year or two, and then we have, and yes, I know these are not the right microfarads, but just grab these to show you. We have an American made. This one, although it's been wrapped, to our capacitors. So this one's made in China, assembled in Mexico, probably just the sticker. This one's new out of the box, and look at that, a dent. Very poor capacitance gel. If I were to open one of these, there is a piece of metal that drops down, very short pieces of metal into the capacitance gel. I don't like the Mars. This is American made. This is the, and you can look at the difference. This is the same microfarads, and as far as diameter, same size in diameter, but they use more capacitance gel. They use longer rods into the gel. There's better separation between the difference between the dual sides, so much better quality. Now if you look at even like what the manufacturers use, this is a GE. Again, this one is still Mexican and Chinese. I believe it's Mexican is what this particular one says. Same capacitance. Big difference. Okay. Now it may not be quite as tall. They could have made it a little bit taller, but it'd still be much fatter. Higher quality. Trade Pro. Good job, guys. Made in the USA all the way. Only a few dollars more, but worth every single penny. These operate at high temperatures without any type of issues. Always try to go American, and I do recommend Trade Pro. So we will have to make some minor adjustments. Now this particular one, as you can see, Goodman gives you a strap with different holes in it, so we can make our adjustments this way. Otherwise, plumber's tape or strap with holes in it, hanging strap, whatever you want to call it, that works as well. So let me get the put this one in, and I'll show you how to wire it up. So now we're going to wire these up. Now this is my fan wire. I know that from experience, so I'm going to be putting it on my fan side. Remember, fan side is going to be 1 or 2 only. This is going to my compressor. This is my start leg of my compressor. This is going to run to my 3 side, or there may be a hermetic something on there, but typically you're going to be looking at your different numbers to really tell which one's which. So this is actually coming from my defrost control board, or actually if it was just straight AC, it would be the one of the legs of my fan. And then we have, coming from our contactor, we're going to have our power supply to the capacitor. Now this is going to go on the common side as well. And then we're going to come back to the contactor on this side, right here. So we got our power supply. This is pretty much where you can add accessories to it, like a potential relay. Some people know them as start boosters, but I don't recommend start boosters. I recommend true potential relays. So got it wired up, and then that's it. It's pretty simple. As always, like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask. I'll get back to everybody as quickly as I can. Thank you guys, and as always, have a great day.